Hello, good morning everyone. My name is Marilyn Pradilla, an agriculture student of Mindanao State University Bog Campus. For today's video, we will talk about the agriculture economics. As we all know that agriculture is the backbone of our economy. There were lots of definitions about the economics. First, definition. For economists, economics is a study of how human beings satisfy their material needs and wants from the resources available. It is according to Lepsy and Coron. Second, it is a science of choice, the science that explains the choices we make and how those choices change as we cope with scarcity. That was the second definition. And then the third definition is for businesses. Economics for businesses. It is a study of principles and policies which determine the volume of output of goods and services, level of employment, and income in the manner in which the price system functions and income is distributed. Fourth is, it is concerned with the efficient use of resources to produce product to satisfy human wants. And then, fifth, it comes from, economics comes from the Greek word oikonomia, which means management of the household. The word oikos means house and the nomos means the law. Combined it together, oikonomia. It also seemed out from the two realities. First is the limited resources available and the unlimited needs. We have the limited resources of the raw materials and of the products, but we have the unlimited needs. We are not satisfied with only one product or with only one material, but it is unlimited. Then next is, it is the study of how man and society, with or without the use of money, employs scarce productive resources to produce various commodities over time and distribute them for consumption now and in the future. Among various people and groups in the society, it is according to Samuelson. There are these three elements of economic perspectives. What are those? First is the scarcity, and then the rational behavior and the marginalism. We will talk about the scarcity. What is scarcity? Scarcity is a condition in which resources available are insufficient to satisfy human wants. Scarcity, it is where resources are available but insufficient. Di pa rin siya sapat to satisfy the human wants. Second is the rational behavior. What is rational behavior? Rational behavior, economics is grounded in the assumption of rational self-interest, meaning to say, individuals make rational decisions to achieve the greatest satisfaction or the maximum fulfillment of their goals. We have this kind of behavior that we always make this decision to achieve our greatest satisfaction in life or to achieve our main goal or our common goal. Then next is the marginalism. What is marginalism? Marginalism in economics, choices are made based on the additional benefit or additional costs that will be incurred in making a particular decision. In marginalism, it is the economic choices based on additional benefit from the products or choices made based on the additional costs for the product. The next is scarcity has these three basic concepts. What is this? First is the choice or choices. Second is the trade-off, and then the opportunity cost. We will talk about the choices. What is choice? Because of limited budget, consumers make choices among several goods and services available. So because of limited resources, businesses choose between the different combinations of inputs to produce a certain product. So choices means there are lots of choices that they can offer or that they can get. So because of the limited resources, so it is the consumer's choice to buy several goods and services that are only available in that market, or it is the business's choice between different combinations of inputs that they are going to use to make an output. And then next is the trade-off. So it is a choice between alternative uses for a given quantity of resources. Using resources for one purpose means that the same resources cannot be used for another purpose. In other words, we give up something to get something else. So in trade-off, as we can see that we give up something to get something else. So it is mean that we give up what really we need to get what really we want. That's it. And then next is the opportunity cost. So opportunity cost, it is the real economic cost of a good or service produced or measured by the value of sacrifice alternative. So it refers to the cost or value of the highest valued alternative we give up in offering our chosen alternative. So it is the real economic cost of a good or services. So next is the foundation of economics. So these are the two facts that dominate our lives. First, we have limited resources. So as we can see, or as what we observe, that we have these limited resources from our natural resources. Just for example, our raw materials like the crops, the woods, or anything that we can get as a raw material to produce an output or another product. So second is we have these unlimited wants. So wants are the desires of consumers to obtain and use various goods and services which give pleasure or satisfaction. So it is generally classified as first necessities and the luxuries. So what we have this unlimited wants, though we have the limited resources, but we have these unlimited wants. So we all know that humans are always unsatisfied of what we have. We always want this, even though we have everything in our lives. So needs are basic necessities for survival, like food and water and shelter. So needs is different from wants, because wants is what we desire, what we can live without without the things we want, but we can't live without the things we need, like food, water, and the shelter. So next is the factors of production or scarce resources. So first, land. So land refers to all natural resources, all free gifts of nature which are usable in the productive process. So the payment received by owners are remuneration for land is called rent. So just for example, this one. So land. So it is refers to the natural resources, all free gifts of nature. So we all know that land is a free gift of nature. It is already there, and then it is also usable for us to produce different kind of products in any process we want. So the payment received by owners, just for example, I am a farmer, or I am a farmer. So I have this very wide farm, and then I have this my tenant. So what they gonna do is they work for me. So they work in my own farm. Then so that they won't have the rent, I pay them. So if they want also to just for example build their house, then they will pay for rent. Then second is the capital or investment goods. So it refers to all manufactured aids to production. It includes the tools, the equipment, machinery, factory, storage area, transport and distribution facilities, includes the capital goods. So financial capital, on the other hand, is the money used to purchase the capital goods. So the remuneration for the use of capital resource is called the interest. So capital or investment goods. So if you want to have a business, you need to have your own capital, or you need to have an investment in any of the companies so that you can earn. So what you have to do is to work for your money. So just for example, the very trending business nowadays are the online business. So you invest in the business in online, and then you work for it. Because if you won't work for it, and then you won't get your profit. So your profit based on what you based on your efforts. Then next is the labor. So labor refers to all man's physical and mental talents usable in the production. So remuneration for labor resource is called wage or salary. It is the physical efforts expended by man in the production process. So just for example, in the labor, those manufacturing workers, those are the examples of the laborers or labormen, in which they are paid by their weekly salaries or their monthly salaries. So next is the entrepreneurial ability or the entrepreneurship. So it is the resource used to combine the first three resources. So this resource takes the initiative of innovating products and bear risks. So if you are going to engage in entrepreneurship or in entrepreneurial world, you have to have this initiative mind, innovating the products, and you have to bear the risks. You have to bear, or you have to to always be ready on what may possibly happen in the near future. So we will go to macroeconomics. So what is macroeconomics? Macroeconomics is the study of the economy as a whole, or with the basic subdivisions or aggregates such as government, household, and business sector. So it seeks to explain average prices, total output, gross national product, gross domestic product, total employment, total income, effects of taxes, government spending, and effects of money and interest rates and government budget deficit. So next is the agricultural economics. What do you mean by agricultural economics? So it is an applied science primarily concerned with the solution of economic problems in agriculture. So it is also concerned with the identification, description, and classification of economic problems in agriculture in order to solve them. So such problems include financing, production, and marketing. So agricultural economics, it is a science that primarily concerned with the solution of economic problems in agriculture. So like here in the Philippines, we are agricultural country. So we have the high rate in agricultural economics, but I don't know nowadays what is happening. So next is the positive and normative economics. So what is positive economics? Positive economics deals with what the economy is actually like. So, it focuses on facts and avoid value judgment. It tries to establish scientific statement about economic behavior. It is concerned with what is. It describes the situation as it is. So, positive economics deals with the economy as actually like in a good way or in a positive way, no, to avoid judgment and establish a scientific statement about the economic behavior of what is, what are, or who are. That was the questions that describes the situation. So next is the normative economics. So normative economics deals with value judgments about what the economy should be like or what a particular policy actions should be like or should be recommended. So as often called policy economics, it embodies subjective feelings about what ought to be. So normative is different from positive. So as we can see that positive, it deals with the economy and it focuses on facts and avoid value judgment. But the normative economics, it deals with value judgment about what economy should be like and or what particular policy actions should be like or should be recommended. So next is the economic system. So we will talk about the economic system. So first is the traditional or subsistence economy. So this is the earliest form of economic system. All economic activities in the system are accomplished outside the market. Each family takes care of its own economic needs. No money, banking activities, and trade. Only barter system is practiced as a form of exchange or trade. So tradition decides what the people do for a living and how their work will be performed. So as we observe before or as we can remember, kung natatandaan nyo pa at naaabutan nyo pa yung panahon kung saan nagbabarter ng mga products yung mga tao in the market. So just for example, those people near the mountain areas and those people near the seashore. So yung mga gulay na binababa ng mga tao mula sa mga mountains or mula sa mga bukid, dinadala nila dun sa market. Tapos yung mga tao na nasa tabing dagat, yung mga isdang nahuhuli nila sa dagat, dinadala nila sa market. Tapos dun sila nagbabarter, exchange of products or exchange or trading of products. So next is the capitalism or market economy. So free enterprise by laissez-faire. So in this system, the means of production is owned and controlled by private individuals or groups. So government plays only a relatively small role, and it is the market that determines how much resources are allocated. So nations' economic decisions are the result of individual decisions of buyers and sellers in a marketplace. So the people's decisions act as votes, and they accomplish this by buying a particular product. So consumers play a key role in determining what to produce. So in capitalism, so it is commonly owned and controlled by the private individuals or groups. Just for example, the private companies or the private corporations that is managed by their owner. So government only plays small role in this kind of business in order to connect this business into the public. So next is, so for this economic system to work, the following factors would be considered. So first is the private property. So private property, this refers to exclusive right of a person to buy, keep, use, and sell or give anything to value. So just for example, there is a private compound is owned by the business owner, or who is owned by a kind of rich man. So second is freedom of enterprise. So this means that private business are free to obtain economic resources. And then the freedom of choice. This means that owners can employ or dispose of their property and money as they see fit. It also means that workers are free to enter any lines of work which they are qualified. So, in a freedom of choice, it is the owner's choice to employ if he or she will employ or dispose of their property. It is their choice because it's their own. And then next is the self-interest. So each economic unit attempts to get what is best for itself. So self-interest, you will get what you want or what you desire. Then the competition. So competition, as we all know, in the market there is this competition. So it's up to you if you will high or low the prices of your product. But take note that if you're going to high the price of your product, then remember that there is this suggested retail price for it. So next is the markets and prices. So market serves as coordinating mechanism, and prices serve as guideposts on which resources owners, entrepreneurs, and consumers make and revise their free choice as they pursue self-interest. And then next is the limited government. So next we will talk about the command economy or the communism. So in this system, the economic decisions are made by the government. No person may independently decide to open or run a business. So this system is also known as socialist or authoritarian or centralized economy. So the factors of production are owned by the government. So example, in China, so their production are owned by their government. Next is the socialism. So in the system, the government owns and operates many of the nation's major industries such as banks, airlines, railroads, and power plants, but allows individuals to own their businesses, including stores, farms, and factories. So, pricing, allocation, and production methods are mainly determined by market forces. However, the government may intervene for specific objectives. So, just for example, in Sweden, so today, when socialism is mentioned, it is often to refer to the mixed economic systems that have emerged in Western Europe. The term mixed refers to the mixture of regulated capitalism and a socialistic version of communism in the sense of public ownership of the mean of production. So next is the fascism. So this economic system is more easily associated with political regimes in which power is centered largely on a strong one-man dictatorship, or in any case, a one-party dictatorship. So, big industries support the objective of the state. Under the economic system, the function of the market mechanism is inoperative since one or few companies exert great monopoly power. So, the choice of what types of goods would be produced and what types of industries would grow. Of course, there was private ownership, but with great limitations on personal freedoms enforced by the leadership, the choices open to private enterprises were indeed limited. So thus, fascism is more easily identified as a political system with elements of a strong dictatorship enjoyed by a single man in group, say a military junta. So next is the demand. What is the demand? Demand is defined as a schedule which shows the various demands of a product which consumers are willing and able to purchase at a specific price in a set of possible prices during some specified period time. Then, the quantity demanded of a good or service. It is the amount of a good or service that consumers plan to buy during a specific period of time. So, the quantity demand of the product and of a good or services of those who offers this kind of product. So, law of demand. So, law of demand states that as price falls, the corresponding quantity demanded rises, or alternatively. So, as price increases, the corresponding quantity demand falls. Other things, ceteris paribus. So, it is ceteris paribus. In other words, there is an inverse relationship between prices and quantity demanded. So, as we can observe that if the prices of the product falls, so the quantity demanded rises. So, marami yung bibili kapag nag-roll back. Just for example, may promotion, 50% promotion of that product. So, many people will choose to buy that kind of product. And alternatively, so kung tataas naman yung presyo or the price will increase, then the corresponding quantity demanded falls. Just for example, yung gasolina natin ngayon, tumaas yung halaga ng gasolina. So, yung the numbers of the people or of the consumers that uses the gasoline, just for example, dati palagi silang umaalis kasi walang paki sa presyo ng gasolina kasi maliit lang yung presyo or kayang-kaya lang ng budget. So, they will go anywhere, everywhere. Pwede silang umalis kahit ngayon, mamaya, or bukas. But, as the price of the gasoline increases, so mas nagtitipid na yung tao, di na masyadong nagkukonsume ng ganong klaseng produkto kung saan ito ay may mataas na presyo. So, supply is defined as a schedule which shows the various demands of a product which producers are willing to and able to produce and make available for sale in the market at each specific price in a set of possible prices during some specified period of time. So, demand, when we talk about demand yung kailangan. So, supply, yung binibigay or pinoproduce. So, market supply is the sum of all individual producers or firms supply in the market. The quantity supplied of a good or service. It is the amount of a good or service that producers plan to sell during a specific period of time. Then, next is the law of supply. So, kanina may law of demand and then now, may law of supply na naman. So law of supply. Law of supply states that as price falls, the corresponding quantity supplied decreases or alternatively. So, as price increases, the corresponding quantity supplied increases. Other things, ceteris paribus. In other words, there is a direct relationship between the prices and the quantity supplied. So, kanina, yung law of demand, kapag marami yung demand, tumataas yung prices. Kapag bumababa yung price, tumataas yung demand. Dito sa law of supply, kapag bumababa yung presyo, so the corresponding quality, yung supply din bumababa. Kapag ang presyo tumataas din yung supply ng produkto. So, next is the equilibrium. So, market equilibrium quantity refers to the quantity where quantity supplied and quantity demanded are equal. So, dito natin makikita yung the equality between the quantity supplied and then the quantity demand. And then, market equilibrium price refers to the price where quantity supplied and quantity demand are equal. It is the price that clears the market in mathematical equation. Market equilibrium is shown as like this. So, quantity demand equals quantity of supply. So, where QD is the quantity demand and QS is the quantity supplied. So, a surplus occurs when supply is greater than the demand. So, there is the surplus. Surplus will cause a competitive bidding. So, down of price by sellers eager to relieve themselves of their surplus. Next, a shortage occurs when demand is greater than the supply. It will cause a competitive bidding up by buyers pushing the price up toward equilibrium price and quantity. Microeconomics. So, utility or cardinal approach. Utility refers to the ability of a good to satisfy a human want. The utility of a good or service is the satisfaction or pleasure one gets from consuming it. So, total utility refers to the entire amount of satisfaction a consumer receives from consuming a good at various rates. The more of an item a consumer consumes per unit of time, the greater will be the total utility or satisfaction received from it up to a certain point or saturation point. So next is the marginal utility. It is the extra satisfaction a consumer realizes from an additional unit of a product or the change in total utility as the quality of the good is changed. So next is under pure competition, or total approach. So perfect or pure competition is characterized by first, a large number of sellers and buyers of the commodity, each too small to affect the prices of the commodity. Second, outputs of all firms in the market are homogeneous. Third, perfect mobility of resources. Fourth, the consumers. Resource owners and firms in the market have perfect knowledge of present and future prices and costs. No restrictions in the entry in the industry. In pure competition markets such as most in agricultural product, price is a given by the intersection of market supply and market demand curve. So producers or sellers, these are generally price takers. An individual seller's demand is perfectly inelastic. So it is because all firms acting independently but simultaneously can increase price by reducing the output. So we will go to the pure monopoly. So pure monopoly refers to the form of market organization in which there is a simple firm producing a commodity for which there are no substitutes. So the firm is the industry and faces negatively sloped demand curve for the commodity. The demand curve at the monopolist equals the market demand curve. So as a result, if the monopolist wants to sell more of the commodity, he must lower his price. So next is the oligopoly. Oligopoly is a market organization in which there are a few sellers of a commodity so that the action of each sellers affect to the seller. Then the monopolistic competition. Monopolistic competition refers to the market organization which there are many firms selling closely related but not identical commodities. So because of this product differentiation, the seller has some degree of control over the price he charges, and thus face a negatively sloped demand curve. So however, the existence of many close substitutes severely limits his monopoly power and results in a highly elastic demand curve. If a single firm is monopolistically competitive, industry lower its price, so it will move down in the long. Its highly elastic demand curve, it increases its sales substantially. However, if all firms in the industry lower their prices simultaneously, the sales of each firm will increase by less. So konti lang yung increase ng sales ng isang firm. So, macroeconomics is concerned with performance of the economy as a whole or with larger sectors of it, such as government, business, firms, and households. So, macroeconomics attempts to explain why the economy's total output of goods and services fluctuates over time, giving time to the business cycle and its accompanying upward and downward movements of the unemployment and inflation rates. So, components of the macroeconomy. So, first is the private sector, household, and firms. Then the government, public sector. Then, rest of the world, international sector. So, the private sector or the household and the firms. So, most of the private sectors are managed by the family. And then, government sector, which is managed by the public. So, anyone could manage. Then, the rest of the world, so international sector, every nation. So, transfer payments are cash payments made by the government to people who do not supply goods, services, or labor in exchange of these payments. So, exchange of SSS benefits, veterans, and welfare benefits. So, three market arenas. Goods and services market. So, these are the business firms, which is the major supplier sector. And then the labor market or the household is the major supplier sector to business firms and the government. So, lastly is the money or the financial market. So, the gross national product. It is the value of the total output produced with labor or capital owned by the Philippine nationals regardless of location in the specific period. So, gross national product of the Philippines consists of the total output produced by land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurial talent supplied by Filipinos. So, whether these resources are located in the Philippines or abroad. So, gross domestic product. Gross domestic product refers to the market value of all final goods and services produced and consumed within the country's jurisdiction in a given period. So, it comprises the value of the total goods and services produced within the boundaries of the Philippines, whether by Filipinos or foreign supplied resources. So, that was the end of my presentation. I hope you gain something from it or you've learned something or from my discussion. So, thank you for watching and see you on my next video. Thank you.